Infertility and to talk with you about my own infertility journey. And my name is Danielle. I'm 40 years old, and I was married when I was 32 years old, and I knew that it would be difficult for my husband and I to conceive because I have something called polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I did not think that it would be as long of a journey as it was. I thought, I'll go to the fertility doctor and that will take care of my issues. But I was wrong. Infertility is such a difficult thing. Infertility is defined as the inability to conceive after a year of trying. And I was married, as I mentioned before, when I was 32. And my husband and I decided to go to a fertility clinic when I was 33 and he would have been 35. And so we went to the clinic, and the doctor gave me medication so that I would ovulate. And I had to stimulate my system by injecting myself with medication that would enable me to ovulate. So I did that, and on the first cycle, I got pregnant. So I was so excited and so ecstatic. But that excitement didn't last for long, because 5 days after I found out I was pregnant, I likely miscarry. I did, and it was so painful. It was so emotionally draining. I just sobbed, and physically it was painful too, even though I wasn't that far. So anyways, I struggled with that, and we did more treatment, but emotionally my hormones were so out of whack, and I just wasn't in a good place. It was just too difficult, so we gave up. So about a year down the road, I changed my diet. I went to a naturopath. I added supplements, and I'll talk about what those supplements were in another video. And within a month of doing that, I found out I was pregnant again, and I was overjoyed. I was beyond excited. And from the time I found out I was pregnant, I pictured a little girl, and I just thought about different names that I would name her. The baby was due 2 days after my birthday. So it was just such a happy time. And even though I didn't get pregnant through the fertility clinic, my fertility doctor wanted to see me. So I went in for a couple ultrasounds, and everything looked great. And then I went in for another ultrasound, and I could tell the doctor was quiet. And my heart sunk, because the next few words changed my life. And I went into that appointment overjoyed, and I came out just so drained, so in disbelief, in shock, because he said, sorry, there is no heartbeat. And then we had to make plans for me to have a DNC. So a few days later, I had a DNC, and the chromosomes of the baby were tested. And the chromosomes were normal. We found out we were expecting a girl. So we ended up naming her Hope. And I also tested positive for a blood clotting disorder called Factor V Leiden, where women can lose perfectly healthy babies even at 30 weeks later on in the pregnancy. And I'm thankful that I wasn't that far, because I think that would have been even more traumatizing and difficult had the pregnancy continued. So I ended up, that took a long time to deal and to grieve through that. And I didn't do grief counseling, but I know I went through the different stages of grief, which I can also talk about in another video. And like about 2 years later, my husband and I did more fertility treatment. And from this fertility treatment, I got super sick. So sick, I was hospitalized for 8 days. And I remember in the hospital feeling so terrible and feeling as though I was going to die. And I remember as I was in the hospital when I was first there and then emerge and thinking, even if I die, I don't have to fear, because Jesus Christ will be with me, because he promises never to leave me or forsake me. So even in death, he will be with me. And that just brought such comfort and hope to me. And I just remember just really resting in that promise and resting in the Lord. The Lord brought me much comfort and just a reminder that I am the Lord's and he's in control of my life. So my husband and I, a year later, we waited for my body to kind of get regulated again, and we did more fertility treatment, and I got pregnant again in February of 2017. So I was so overjoyed, but again, that excitement didn't last for very long. A few days later, I found out I was going to miscarry. So it was Sunday, February 19th, 2017, and the cramps started to come. And I told my husband to go ahead and go to church without me, that I was okay. And I just lay in bed, and then I sat up when I could, and it wasn't even, this miscarriage was different because it wasn't painful physically like the other ones, and emotionally it wasn't as difficult, and that's by the grace of God. And I just remember thinking in bed that I was ready to adopt. And there's a hymn by William Kemper called God Moves in Mysterious Ways. And there's a line in it that says, God moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. He plants his footsteps on the seas and rides upon the storm. Judge not the Lord by feeble sense, but trust him for his grace. Behind a frowning providence, there hides his smiling face. That stanza kept running through my head, and I was comforted. Again, the Lord, the Holy Spirit, comforted me. And I was just like, I came to the place where I was like, Lord, I don't understand why you aren't giving me my heart's desire. But I don't have to understand everything, because I'm not God. And I don't see the big picture. But you, God, you see the big picture. And for the next couple months, I just got to the place where I was like, you know what? I'm okay. And God, you are good. And you know everything, and you see the big picture, even though I don't. In 1 Peter chapter 1, it says to set your hope completely on the grace to be given to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. And I thought to myself, you know what? Even though a child is a good gift from God and a good desire, a child is not to be my ultimate desire, and a child is not my ultimate hope. But God, you are my ultimate hope, and you are to be my ultimate desire. And I am to continually to seek, pressing on towards seeking my hope and finding my hope in you alone. I had my own green cleaning business, and I was cleaning one day in the bathroom, and I felt the need to get on my knees and to pray for God to work in my womb. I'm guessing it was the Lord leading me to do that because it was just such a pressing need. So I got on my knees by the bathtub, and I didn't feel like I was praying out of desperation. It was just, I felt like I needed to pray for that. So I did, and I poured my heart out before the Lord. And I felt like Hannah in the Bible, who, if you're not familiar with, she is a character from the Old Testament. She could not have children, and she poured her heart out before the Lord. And afterwards, it said her countenance is joyful, and that she has a huge weight lifted off of her after she prays to the Lord. And I had prayed so many times for a child, but this time was different because it was like I had just released it to the Lord, and then I just prayed again, not out of desperation, but just like I need to pray. So about a week later, I was feeling so tired, and I thought, oh man, I haven't had a period in so long. I'm gonna take something called holy basil. And before, I thought I'd better take a test just in case, because it could induce a miscarriage. Next day, after buying the test, I woke up and I was going to start the holy basil, and I thought, oh yeah, I have to take the test. So 2 minutes before my husband left for work, I took a pregnancy test, and it was positive. I was so shocked, beyond elated, but I was still, after that, after I got off of my cloud, I was just kind of joyful yet cautious, but yet I had a peace again because I knew how I had seen the Lord answer my prayer in such an amazing way. So the Lord decided to keep the life that was growing inside of me. And February 24th, 2018, almost a year to the day of my last miscarriage, I had a beautiful boy who we named Evan Daniel. And he is an absolute joy and gift from God. And I see God's faithfulness, and I see God does move in mysterious ways. Even though I had these miscarriages, I see how God was good in His timing, and He worked in my body in ways that the doctor couldn't work in my body. And He knows everything, and I'm so thankful that how He answered my prayer, and I wouldn't trade those difficult times and that difficult season of infertility, because, well, the Lord did give me a child, and but He also worked in my heart so that I trusted Him more and more and leaned on Him and depended upon Him. And behind a frowning providence, God's smiling face was there. And so I'm just still so amazed and so thankful. And if you are going through infertility, I want to encourage you to press on and to look to the Lord, because He is where your ultimate hope is found. And keep resting in Him, looking to Him, trusting Him that He knows and He sees the big picture. And I'm sorry if you are going through the difficult time, and I'm excited to share more videos with you of things that have helped me and just hopefully encouragement. Thank you for watching my video.